The subcommittee, the gentleman from Texas, for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hughes, I want to come to you first. As you know, I was an air conditioning contractor for 35 years. So I've been in the small business and I've watched this whole episode of the SEER ratings moving up on not only air conditioning units, but on the gas AFUE settings as well. You said a couple things as a small builder. You said you're concerned about this because this is restrictions on the energy source, and I'll come back to you in just a second. Then you said it was mandates, and then you said it affected appliances. Describe for us what you meant by it was restrictions on the energy source.
Well, it's getting to be more of a concern that we're losing those choices on what energy, and having to change different equipment, different appliances is going to add to the cost. And in some cases, they're simply not practical. Some of the new codes, for instance, require ductwork replaced in confined or in heated space, which is not practical on slab homes.
Amen, brother. I've been there. I've been in those homes. I've watched what I would call middle American citizens in Texas. When they, you're familiar with SEER, seasonal energy efficiency ratings on air conditioners. When I got in the business in '81, it was 8. It was 8.0 SEER. Then they went to 9, then 10, then 12, then 14 and 15. And you watched the price of those units almost double. So now you had a homeowner who's working family. My bride of 49 years was a teacher for 27 years, and I owned an American company for 35 years. We watched working families struggling when they lived in a house that was 15, 20, or 25 years old. For them to get all new equipment at the higher SEER ratings might take a complete system change out from $12,000 to $18,000, and they could well afford the first price, much less the next price, even though they had tax incentives on it, because they were struggling. Mr. Lieberman, I'm going to come to you. Non-condensing gas furnace, you said in your comments, would not be available after 2028. We all know that some of us know that the AFUE rating on those furnaces go up to 92%. It also requires a change in the venting. You know this. It requires a drip leg and requires all kinds of stuff that normal furnaces don't require. And especially in Texas, there's no reason why Department of Energy or anybody else, the EPA, should be mandating that Texans have to have a certain efficiency. You're aware of what AFUE furnaces are, I trust.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No two homes are alike. No two homeowners are alike. And we all know our own individualized circumstances and preferences better than any one-size-fits-all regulatory process. And so with the furnace rule that it will take effect in 2028, there are a lot of homes that won't get the furnace that makes the most sense for them. And as it turns out, it tends to be older, smaller, space-constrained homes owned by generally lower-income Americans. One-size-fits-all is very much a problem with some of these.
It really is, and it affects not just lower income, but also middle income to slight income. I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a house that was 20, 25 years old or older, and I said, sir, ma'am, there's a crack in your heat exchanger in your old original furnace. It's going to have to be changed. But it's also going to have to be an upper AFUE-rated furnace. You need a new evaporator coil and a new outside unit. And now, instead of a furnace that's choosing number $1,800, $1,900, whatever it is, you're now looking at about $7,000, $8,000 back in the 80s, or $9,000. Much, much higher than that. And I've had people look me in the eye and say, well, Mr. Weber, you say there's a minor crack in the heat exchanger, puts that carbon monoxide. Yes, sir. They said, how dangerous is that? And I said, well, if you get enough in your bloodstream, it can kill you. I said, you can go to sleep at night and the next morning wake up dead, which is not a bad way to go if you're ready to go. And they literally would look me in the eye and say, what are the odds, what's the percentage rates that it would actually kill somebody in our family? And I said, well, they're actually pretty low, but when it happens, they're just as dead as they could be. And families can't always afford these mandates. It's a good idea. I know that we want less pollution, and we want all this stuff that we want to happen, but we have to take into account that American families can't always afford these good ideas. Ms. Rinaldi, I'm going to come to you. Everything you said sounds good about all the energy savings, but I just laid out a scenario for you where Americans can really afford all this. So I'm just going to end my comments, Mr. Chairman, by saying it's like the best laid plans of mice and men, and I yield back.